gentlemen, it's time to get things underway. On behalf of Cooper Tires and Allied Building Products, drivers, start your engines. 13 drivers set to go here today. Antoine Camo in the number 3 will start 13th. Row number 6 will see Moises De Oliveira on the outside and his D-Force teammate Corey Enders on the inside. On row 5, it'll be Matt Round-Garrido in the HMD Motorsports number 27. The Englishman starting alongside Exclusive Autosports, Nikita Lostoshkin. Next row number 4, Jacob Abel on the outside for Kentucky in the Abel Motorsports number 51. And on the inside, Antonio Saravalli in the number 11, starting in 7th. On row 3, it'll be Artem Petrov, the Russian driver in the 5, starting 6th, and Daniel Frost, 2 times a winner this year, starting on the inside, P5 in the Exclusive Autosports number 68. Drivers starting to peel out here from pit lane. Moving down to row number 2, on the outside, the Abel Motorsports, number 8, starting in the 4th position. And on the inside, Rasmus Lind, point leader, coming in here for Juncos Racing in the number 10. Drivers on the front row, look for Stingray Robb to try to avenge that issue happened yesterday to him. Stingray in the Juncos Racing number 2, starting 2nd. Driver on the pole right now, though, has won 7 of the last 8 races, trying to grab a hold of this point lead from Jupiter, Florida for RP Motorsports Racing. Kyle Kirkwood on the pole. Cars have taken to the racetrack. We'll throw it back to Todd Lewis. Indy Pro 2000 Racing up next.
Thank you, Rob. The cars are out on track. They're starting to warm up those tires, get those liquids up to temperature, and then they will line up and they will go racing on their next trip around. We'll wave the green flag, get set for 30 laps of racing in the USF Pro 1000. We'll get set for 30 laps of racing in the Indy Pro 2000. Kyle Kirkwood on the pole, Daniel Frost, the winner yesterday. We'll wait and see what happens in today's race. The championship battles have become very close. Kyle Kirkwood has taken over top spot, and we had excellent racing. Rob mentioned what happened to Stingray Robb off the start yesterday. He was on the pole for the start of the race. There was an issue. There was contact. He fell back in the field, did manage to charge up to an 8th place finish, but disappointment. There was an opportunity, it looked like, for Stingray Robb to collect his first victory in the Indy Pro 2000 race, but it went away from him fairly quickly yesterday. We'll see what he can do today as he and the rest of the competitors line up. Kyle Kirkwood and Stingray Robb alongside on the front row. Cars making their way through to the back part of the course, getting lined up. They will be side by side as they come out onto the front stretch. A good lineup, Rob Howden, as we see the cars get ready to take the green.
Yeah, Kyle Kirkwood on the pole position. Stingray Robb hoping to get through turn number 1 this time. He got drilled yesterday by Artem Petrov. He is wanting to get a clean start. He's got the speed to win. Field lined up, getting ready to go with Indy Pro 2000, second race of the doubleheader. And we are underway, I believe. Green, green, green. Racing down to 1. Everybody diving to the bottom of the racetrack. Can they get through cleanly? Kirkwood looks good. So does Stingray Robb. A little bit of accordion effect coming through. A couple drivers over the curb, but otherwise nicely through the Shelton chicane for the first time. Drivers learning a little bit from yesterday's chaos. Able to get through. Looks to me like Parker Thompson able to get by Rasmus Lind. Move Parker Thompson to P3. As they'll work their way through 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, much different start than yesterday. We had all that chaos. Petrov getting into the back of Stingray Robb. We had probably 8 drivers trying to figure out how to get out of the middle of the chicane without getting a penalty. One driver actually cut straight through. The penalty was given. You had to come through the chicane so you don't blow through that particular area of the racetrack. They'll work their way down the back straight away. Here's a big move from the outside. That's Artem Petrov and Saravalli side by side to 9. Saravalli had to give that one up. Petrov was right there trying to get by Daniel Frost in the 68. Aggressive racing early on. Tremendous competition here in Indy Pro 2000. Petrov tucks up under the gearbox. We got a battle further back between Jacob Abel and Nikita Lostoshkin. That's the fight for 8th and 9th. Move to the inside. Book it. There's a pass there for Rasmus Lind. Rasmus able to get to the inside of Parker Thompson. He'll go to P3. So some early action. Front 2 drivers stretching away. Kyle Kirkwood and Stingray Robb. Parker Thompson had 3rd. But Rasmus Lind getting a good run out of turn number 12. Makes that move to the inside of turn number 1. Parker Thompson, the veteran, understanding. Let it go through a bit. Settle back into 4th. Thompson and his engineer, Tom Knapp, continue to dial in this car for Abel Motorsports. Again, they're trying to get data for the 2020 season. Jacob Abel, the rookie in the series, being mentored by Parker. They're doing a great job putting data in the books for next year's competition. But Kyle Kirkwood, same thing we saw last year. Here's that battle now. Look at Artem Petrov trying to go to the outside. Petrov trying the outside of Frost into 9. Well, we wanted to question the bravery of Artem Petrov side by side trying the outside of turn 9. Todd, I don't think we've saw that yet this weekend.
I'm not sure that that's a place that you would point out on the track walk that usually takes place the day before on-track action begins as an opportunity that you might be able to make a pass here at PIR. However, Artem Petrov somehow did find a way to make it work. But that's maybe part of the lesson that was learned yesterday off the start where we had that trouble in the Shelton chicane and we had a number of cars come together. Drivers understand you don't have to win in the first lap. It's a cliche, but we still have a long way to go in this race. Surrender the position now and be there to battle for it at the end.
I think when they did their track walk on Wednesday before our test on Thursday, you'd probably say, okay, turn 9, you can pass to the inside. I'm not sure if outside is one of those low risk maneuvers. A tough one there. And again, he was smart to get out of it, allowed Daniel Frost to tuck back in, but Petrov, his teammate. Kyle Kirkwood out front. Petrov doing what he can to try to find a way by Frost. He's lost a bit of gap right now. He's actually fallen into the clutches of number 11, Antonio Saravalli. But I'll tell you, Nikita Lastishin's closing up here as well of the number 90 machine. That's 8th. 9th is Abel. 10th is De La Vera. 11th is Matt Round Garrido. 13th, Corey Anderson. 14th is Antoine Comeau. Kirkwood, 1.1 seconds out from Stingray Robb. Interesting to see whether or not Parker Thompson can go to work here to try to get back by Rasmus Lind. He better do so pretty soon because Daniel Frost looks like he's ready to challenge. 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. Those 4 drivers essentially nose to tail coming out of the Shelton chicane. But out front, it's hard to believe that Kyle Kirkwood's just going to do this again. This was the kind of streak that he went on last year in USF 2000. Really impressive run for Kyle Kirkwood. Reset the single season record for wins, stealing it from J.R. Hildebrand. 13 victories last year, and he is on a roll here right now. He's won 7 of the last 8, looking to win 8 of the last 9, with 2 more still to go. Possibility for him to potentially win 10 races here in 2019.
That is a remarkable season for Kyle Kirkwood. The bad news for everyone is that he just set the fastest lap of the race. Still early on in the going, but to, after 3 laps, have a 1.1 second lead over Stingray Robb, who we've seen as fast. It just hasn't been able didn't translate during the race yesterday.
Yeah, indeed, the speed was there for the young driver from Idaho. That's Stingray Robb in the number 2. Again, starting on the pole yesterday, I don't want to say unlucky because it was one driver being over zealous and over aggressive, got it in the back of him into the gearbox, spun him around. It's luck, but it's not really bad luck. It's really just bad play by the other driver behind. Stingray's had the speed. Starting on the off pole here for race number 2, but you know the RP Motorsports guys took the data that they got from Kyle yesterday, made a couple little minor changes, and away they go and pushing forward again. So Kirkwood's car even better than it was yesterday, 1.4 seconds the advantage. We're early in this run. Still a long way to go. It's a 30-lap event for the drivers in Indy Pro 2000, and it's Kirkwood, Robb, Lint, Thompson, and Frost, the top 5.
It's a good battle between the Lind, Thompson, and Frost. Those 3 cars are close. It's just a little over half a second, 0.6 of a second between Parker Thompson and Lind, and then 0.7 of a second from Daniel Frost to Parker Thompson. This is where the driving technique comes in again. Use the aerodynamics, use the draft, try to get up close, and then make the move, ideally heading into corner number 1.
Well, again, the key is early, just a handful of laps in. The cars aren't perfect when they come out of the gate like this. They're a bit of a handful. They'll start to come in as the fuel load goes down. You'll see them get some pretty quick lap times once we get to the midway point, around lap 15, 16. And the cars are designed to come in a little later. You don't set the tire pressures to be perfect to come up to where they need to be early in the run. Otherwise, if you do that, you burn the tires off. Once the tire pressures get too high, the temps get too high, you find yourself falling off at the end. Kirkwood now 2.2 seconds up. Stingray Robb in second. Antonio Saravalli got aggressive there, was having a good run with Artem Petrov. He's still about 4 to 5 of a second quicker than Nikita Lastishkin, so it's Saravalli trying to kind of secure that 7th position. You can see there's Saravalli there coming into turn number 9 and 10, and a pretty big gap back to Lastishkin, who's actually in the middle of a pretty good fight with Jacob Abel and Corey Enders. There they are there. There is the driver of the number 90, Lastishkin, then Abel, then Enders. Leaders working their way through turns 1 and 2. You can see how they come through here. Little right-left combination. Daniel Frost putting some good lap times down, but Parker Thompson quicker than both he and Rasmus Lint last time to get it back down to 6/10.
That's the great thing about this car, is it being a spec series and everyone driving a similar car. It's about driving technique, it's about setup. And even though you may have the leader out front with a bit of a gap, 2.1 seconds now with Kyle Kirkwood and Stingray Robb, there are battles throughout the field in this series, as we've seen already or in the early going.
I like the battle between Lastishkin, Abel, Enders, and then around Garrido there as well. Moises de Oliveira not that far back. That's really 8th all the way back to about 13th. They're all pretty much close together there. Antoine Camo about a second back from de Oliveira. But there's your lead for Kyle Kirkwood. You can see Stingray Robb in second. His teammate Rasmus Lint third. Parker Thompson fourth. 5th is Frost. 6th is Petrov. There's Saravalli in 7th. You wonder what's going through the mind of Rasmus Lint. A couple of wins earlier in the year. Was able to be really consistent, turning in great performances. All these top 3s, top 5s. He's feeling really good. He's got this point lead and probably felt like he had control of the championship. But then Road America comes around, and here comes Kyle Kirkwood starting his win streak. The only race he hasn't won since the end of June. It was the first race of the weekend in Toronto. He's able to come back and win the second race. Daniel Frost won that one. He's won every race since. 7 of the last 8 races, including the Oval, street courses, natural terrain circuits as well. Trying to do the same thing here in Portland. If Kyle Kirkwood can win a couple of races here, man, the momentum he'll have heading into WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in 3 weeks, it's just, we would wonder what Rasmus Lint would have to do to win this championship.
It's somewhat remarkable, too, that Kyle Kirkwood can have that kind of role and imagine just the confidence that he gets. Just talking to him a little bit where he's had a race victory or he's been in the middle of a role where he can win a race or two. It's not like he's trying to do anything special. It's just he and the team have gelled and are in such a comfortable place that they can go out, do their job, and they come away with the results that they are looking for. Kyle Kirkwood, it's difficult for him to explain, even as a young driver. It's just it's not being in his zone, but it's just doing everything right. He's doing it right when he's driving the car. The team is doing it properly in setting up the car. It's just a comfort level that they've achieved more than anything, as opposed to being in his zone.
That's the word I was going to use, the comfort level, right? You're just comfortable out there. You know, we talked about Hunter McElroy saying that his USF 2000 car is just fun to drive right now. It's obviously good. The setup's perfect. He likes this racetrack. But when it's just fun to drive, when you just kind of get in that groove where everything just happens kind of naturally, as opposed to having to force it and maybe push the car over the edge of where your comfort level is. When your comfort level is where it needs to be to run up front like this, you're so hard to beat because you're in that window where if you go any slower, it becomes uncomfortable. It's good to run fast. The speed you're racing just feels like it's completely natural. 2.2 seconds a lead for Kyle Kirkwood's kind of settling things down a little bit now. Got a good gap over Stingray Robb. Kyle Kirkwood had a big celebration here last year. Of course, Portland was the finale of the Road to Indy in 2018, and Kyle was able to win the USF 2000 championship. That's what gave him the scholarship to be able to move up into Indy Pro this year. Check for over $350,000, allowing him to move into Indy Pro. And again, he has taken full advantage of this. And it's very interesting because one of his good friends, Oliver Askew, of course, we're talking about Oliver having all but clinched the championship at Indy Lights. Both of those drivers from Jupiter, Florida. They both ran for the same karting teams at one point. They've kind of followed each other through the ranks. They were top-level drivers in national karting, winning races and championships. They've got into the car racing. Both drivers winning the USF 2000 championship. Kyle Kirkwood will have one up if he's able to win the title here because Oliver Askew was not able to win the championship last year, finished 3rd overall in points. So got a win here in Portland, but he's, I think, more happy winning potentially this Indy Lights championship, which will put him in IndyCar.
I think he'll be very happy to win that Indy Lights championship. It's different that they both had success, both from similar backgrounds, but for some reason, whatever it is, we talk about the streaks that Kyle Kirkwood goes on. We see it in other sports as well. You just find the comfort level, as you described it. You just get on a winning streak, and it just whatever it is, he takes it out on the track and takes the checkers first.
And the interesting thing is, you're also getting into the head of your competitors as well. They're not thinking about really what they've got to do. They're thinking, man, I got to see if I can't beat Kyle. How good is he going to be when we get here? Am I going to have any chance whatsoever? If you can get into the head of your competition, that's just part of the game as well. And Kyle's doing that. When you roll off the trailer as quick as he does and has over the last number of weekends, you know every time he's going to be near the top of the charts, everyone else starts chasing a setup. Because normally these guys will come in with a strategy. Car's going to feel like this. Here's what we're going to do. If someone rolls off the trailer that much quicker, you maybe deviate from that strategy a little bit, taking a bigger swing at the ball, thinking, man, I need more than 2 or 3 tenths of a second. I got to find 7 tenths of a second. And when you do that, sometimes you go in the other direction.
And it makes you struggle even further, makes it more difficult. You wind up putting yourself behind the 8 ball. 10 laps complete, just completing 11 laps now. It's Kyle Kirkwood that is out in front. He has stretched the lead to 2.54 seconds ahead of Stingray Robb, who those two started alongside on the front row. It was Kyle Kirkwood who got through and managed to get out front and stay there. Rasmus Lind in third, Parker Thompson in fourth, and Daniel Frost in the 5th position as we continue to run.
2 more races, as we said, capping off this one and 1 more. For those of you who may not want to jump into the traffic jam right now, I see a couple of shots on our monitors of a lot of people still hanging around in the grandstands. Thank you so much. Good opportunity to see the drivers that you're going to be cheering for in a couple of years. Because remember, let's just say that Oliver Askew and Rinus VeeKay make the jump to the NTT IndyCar Series next year. You would have watched them last year in this particular race. So this is an opportunity to see some of these guys and girls that you're going to watch try to work their way to the NTT IndyCar Series. So yeah, take note. Enjoy yourself here on the grounds. Get yourself something cold to drink. A couple more races. When we're all said and done, traffic will be subsided. Ooh, did you see that big wiggle there?
And we've seen a few big wiggles coming out of that corner onto the front straight.
Yeah, Rasmus Lind rolling back on the power coming out of turn number 12. And if it's a bike race, you call it a tank slapper. It was just a full left, right, left steering wheel input, because he had to hold on to that car. It started to skate away from him a little bit as he was trying to feed the wheel and the power into it. And I'll tell you, when you're behind the wheel trying to roll the speed, because really the exit point's almost driving straight to the wall. And you are going to arc when you get there. But it's definitely daunting to see the wall coming at you like that, especially if you've got wheel into it and it's not going in the direction you're pointing.
Always part of the learning process as well. Running quickly means having the trust in the car, understanding that it is going to grip, the tires are going to grip, because when you sit in these cars, it's almost as if you're sitting right on the ground. When you're looking at those concrete walls, and you have to have trust in the car, which it means trust in the team that you have to build.
Kirkwood leading by 3 seconds. Stingray Robb a further 3.8 back to Rasmus Lind. But when we're looking at the lap times between Lind, Thompson, Frost, and Petrov, all of them the last time by 108.5. Anywhere between a 108.51 to a 108.59. Those drivers in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, virtually identical lap times as last time by. So no movement whatsoever within the positions just outside the last position on the podium and just outside the podium. Saravalli, about 4 seconds off of Petrov now. He was there for a time, but has fallen back. Another 5.3 back to Jacob Abel, who's been able to get by Nikita Lastishkin. Lastishkin with 2 seconds on Enders. So really, not a lot of close racing on track right now. Moises De Oliveira still within a couple of car lengths of Matt Round-Garrido, but otherwise, Parker Thompson just off the gearbox of Rasmus Lind, probably the closest we've got cars together. Then, of course, back to Daniel Frost and Artem Petrov as well. Petrov up on the gearbox too. In fact, Petrov setting up as they come down the straightaway. Petrov looking to the inside, coming on the back straightaway, trying to make a move to the inside of Frost. Here's a look at it, side by side, coming down to turn number 9. Petrov with the position. He'll take it before they duck in. And Daniel Frost wisely, I think, let him get in there. There was no sense in chasing him down. Better to get himself into the right position to set up for 9 and 10.
Nice move and a smart move by Daniel Frost there to allow Petrov through. That's a great example of a pass that ends up happening in one corner but starts many corners previous to that, and in some cases a lap or 2 previous to that. It's a matter of getting close enough to your competitor, understanding the aerodynamics, and then getting into position where you are able to clear the car, make the pass, and still complete the corner.
Well, it's a combination of that 6, 7, 8. You know, you have to be good in 6, 7, 8. If you get a little bit behind, you're always chasing racing where you need to be on the racetrack, and you're never on the throttle early enough when you come out of turn number 8. When you roll out of the throttle, coming out of turn 7, getting out of turn number 8, that's that big run all the way down to 9, and you're right. So it starts in turn 6. If you have trouble in 6, you're just not going to get the power down. Indeed, Daniel Frost having a little bit of trouble here now trying to get the power down coming out of turn number 5, 6, and 7. Lost a bit there as they worked their way down the back straightaway. There's Parker Thompson still closing on Lint, and you can see how Artem Petrov has been able to pull away a little bit here from Daniel Frost. Frost, I believe, still trying to battle for that third place in the points. He and Parker Thompson scrapping it out for third right now. Kyle Kirkwood and Rasmus Lint, the two drivers going at it here for the championship lead in Indy Pro 2000. Just at the halfway point now, 15 laps down, 15 laps to go.
Out front, it remains Kyle Kirkwood in the number 28. Stingray Robb is running second, 4 seconds, almost exactly 4 seconds behind Kyle Kirkwood. Rasmus Lint, Parker Thompson in fourth, and Alex Petrov, after that nice move on Daniel Frost, moves up into the 5th spot. Daniel Frost down to 6th. And yes, Daniel Frost and Parker Thompson in a really tight battle for the championship in 3rd spot. 281 currently for Parker Thompson. Daniel Frost with 279 points. And the top spot in this championship battle as well. Kyle Kirkwood moved into the top spot yesterday, 349 to 340 with Rasmus Lint. And that is a tight championship battle in this Indy Pro 2000 series that everyone understands what the prize is at the end. The prize is that you get to move up the Road to Indy ladder. Fully
paid for, too. It's a $700,000 scholarship, or a little bit more, to be able to move to Indy Lights. And we've seen so many drivers use that to really continue a career that may have stalled. One of the perfect examples is Spencer Pigot. Talking with his parents, and his dad. I spoke a lot with his dad about it, Barry Pigot, about the fact that they worked whatever they could to find the partners to work with Spencer. But if it wasn't for the fact that he won, I want to say he won 4 scholarships coming up through the ranks. He won a karting scholarship to get into a program, able to get into USF 2000. Then, you keep winning those championships. And, of course, he won the first year with the Dallara IL-15. He won the Indy Lights Championship with Juncos Racing. It moves him into IndyCar. And it was a 3-race deal with Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. That tryout and some more work led him to be into the road course car alongside Ed Carpenter Racing and Ed Carpenter himself. He was in the road course car, now finishing up his 2nd season as the full-time driver running both of the road course and the oval, which I think has shown a 6th place finish for him today.
That's one of the best examples, I think, of illustrating how the Road to Indy program works so well, that drivers are able to move up. Not just the drivers that win the scholarship that allow them to move up to the next level, but the experience that they gain being exposed to teams that are a step or two above them, and eventually to the IndyCar series. And it's not always a quick step from one rung of the ladder to the next. Sometimes you might spend a couple of years in one series before moving up to the other. And with the example of Spencer Pigot, it took him a couple of years before winding up in a full-time program with Ed Carpenter Racing.
And then you look at a driver like Jack Harvey. He was 2 times he was the runner-up in Indy Lights, but all those connections he made running over here, all the races that he won, impressing so many different people. Of course, he was running with Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports, but also being able to impress Michael Shank, who said, I like this kid, I like what he's doing. And for Jack, fully committed. Of course, he's from England, but moved to Indianapolis, spending a lot of time here. And it was having coffee with the guys from Auto Nation, from Sirius XM, that brought everything together for him, because you never know who your next partner is going to be. But simply put, he was able to be here, be in this program, impressing a lot of people, and that's what kind of, I would say, paved the way for Jack to get the ride, which will be full-time next year, likely for Meyer Shank.
Understanding the commitment that is necessary to perform at that level as well, because he really committed himself to an off-season fitness program, dropping about 20 or 25 pounds, and documenting that on social media. It's remarkable, the transformation that he's undergone.
It's really interesting because as we watch Kyle Kirkwood pull away here, 4.9 seconds still the lead. Stingray Robb 2nd, Rasmus Lint 3rd. Parker Thompson still putting that pressure, though, on Rasmus Lint, trying to get onto the podium. Artem Petrov into 5th. We talk about all the positives and how drivers develop, whether it be in the race car, engineering-wise, being able to talk to your engineer, outside the car in social media and working with the media, whatever it may be, sponsors, of course. I also find it very interesting because it's always not positive for every driver. Sometimes they'll come in and say, you know what, this just isn't for me. Because I don't think many drivers realize how much commitment it is. Once you get to the IndyCar program, you're not going out with your friends for dinner at night. You're going to sponsor dinners, and you're in the gym, and you're doing, it's a media tour. When they're done here, as we saw with Takuma Sato, he finished winning at Worldwide Technology Raceway. He was in Portland 2 days later, even a day later, I believe, doing all the pre-race media, pre-race work. And that's, I think a lot of the young drivers coming in, they see how cool it is to be an IndyCar driver, and they don't realize being in the car, and they'll tell you, it's that salvation. That's that quiet place, right? When you get out of the car, there's work to be done 24/7.
That's the gravy. That's what you want to be. That's your happy time, your moment. Will Power right now is still in his driver's suit after winning the Grand Prix of Portland earlier today, going through pictures and media obligations, and that's going to continue for probably about another hour or so.
Agreed, yeah. And again, it'll be later on as well. He'll be going early to Laguna Seca. It's just a lot of things to be done. And I'm not pitching the negative of it, but it is maybe more of a realization for some of the young drivers, especially USF 2000s as they come up the ranks. They're realizing that the responsibilities to media, to fans, to sponsors, whatever it may be, continues to increase along with the speeds of these race cars. There's a lot of responsibility. And again, that's what this is all about. It's about training these drivers and get them ready for the NTT IndyCar Series.
Looked like that battle with Rasmus Lind and Parker Thompson was beginning to heat up again just a little bit, with Thompson trying to move in and get back onto a podium position with Rasmus Lind. 10 laps remaining in this Indy Pro 2000 race. It remains Kyle Kirkwood out in front by 5 seconds over Stingray Robb in second, Rasmus Lind in third, Parker Thompson and Petrov rounding out the top 5.
I'm liking this battle a lot between Rasmus Lind and Parker Thompson. For those of you who may be seeing the road to Indy for the first time, you're hanging out in the grandstands right now before you head out of here, with the traffic now starting to die down. You watched our Indy Lights race before, and we have push to pass. So it's 50 extra horsepower for Indy Lights. They get 15 activations of that push to pass on the 2 straightaways. They're able to get that little more horsepower, and they're able to close up with the driver in front of them. We don't have that in Indy Pro 2000 or USF 2000. You have to do it the old way, old school. You actually have to earn it and make it happen. And that's what Parker Thompson's trying to do right now. And now, Todd, we can talk about last 10 laps. How have you set your car up? Is the car going to start coming in? Was it hard on tires for the first 20 laps, or have you taken care of your rubber? And can you maybe start to attack now because you've got better grip than the guy in front of you?
And understanding that it is a 30-lap race, and it's easy to see a car that's close in front of you and maybe make an aggressive move, but also the maturity of the drivers as they go from race to race through the season understand that I'll have a better opportunity later on in the race if I don't abuse my equipment and I do maintain my tires and look after them, as you said.
You saw the drivers there, Lind, Thompson, and Petrov coming through turns 1 and 2. Here's 3. Here's turn number 4. There's the gap between 3rd, 4th, Petrov 5th. He's definitely closing. He was quicker than both Lind and Thompson last time by. Petrov in the RP Motorsports machine, the Russian driver making only his 2nd start here in Indy Pro, currently running in the 5th spot. A 108.2, 2/10 quicker than Thompson, a 10th quicker than Lind, 2/10 quicker than Stingray Robb. The only driver faster than Artem Petrov last lap was his teammate Kyle Kirkwood in the number 28, who leads the way. There's Stingray Robb in 2nd. There's the gap back to 3rd, 4th, and Petrov in 5th. Parker Thompson has not left the rear view mirrors of Rasmus Lind. He is pushing as hard as he can. We'll look at lap times again to see whether or not he's closing. But this has been a relentless pursuit for the Canadian driver Parker Thompson as they come across the line. 108.1 for Kirkwood, 108.2 for Robb, 108.3 for Lind, 108.2 for Parker Thompson, 108 flat for Artem Petrov with the number 5. He's closed up to 1.1 seconds. We got 8 laps to go. We may have a 3-driver battle for the final step on the podium.
That'll be a lot of fun to watch as we get down to the closing laps. But that's also an illustration of how drivers will sometimes become frustrated. As I'm doing everything right, I'm staying in position, and I've only gained just a small fraction of ground on the last 4 or 5 laps, understanding that it will still take you a few more laps before you get to put yourself into a position to maybe make a pass in the late going.
And on the radio every time, if you ever listen to any IndyCar radio, it's exactly the same here with these drivers here. They'll be calling the splits to the driver in front of them, and they'll be calling the splits to the driver behind. So Parker Thompson will know every time he comes on the front straightaway, the team will radio in and say, you're this close to Rasmus Lind, Petrov back by 11 seconds, whatever it may be, now only 1.1, so they'll get that 1.1 gap. He'll know exactly what's happening on the racetrack because, again, Parker Thompson's going to have to get at it pretty soon with 7 to go. Again, another 108 flat for Artem Petrov.
And you can see that Thompson has closed the gap up a little further as well on Rasmus Lindh, now down to 0.3 of a second. Artem Petrov, though, closing in on Parker Thompson. That's the third, fourth, and fifth battle. A good one as we watch them come around through corner 5, I believe that is, and the discipline necessary to stay in up close and try to move right up on the gearbox of that car in front of you. Another lap or so, and that is going to be a three-way fight.
Petrov indeed closing on Parker Thompson as you see them roll out here. Here's a shot of the back straightaway. I love this camera shot. Lindh, Thompson, Petrov. Definitely closing up.
And you see Lindh glance in the mirrors there, too. That's also the habit that they'll need to get into as they watch the competition start to get a little bit closer. You do want to watch and just see where your competitor is, even where they're taking the line and where they might be gaining on you. And you can see if the gap is closing, maybe you want to shift him to a slightly more defensive line. Kyle Kirkwood just posting another fast lap in the race as well. And there you see the pressure being felt by Rasmus Lindh. Parker Thompson now right up on the gearbox.
Little lockup for Rasmus Lindh coming through turn 1. Shot going out of the Shelton chicane. Here they come through turn number 4 now. At 4-5 sweeper in the back part of the racetrack over to turn number 6 now. Through 7, back through turn 8, or rather there's 7, then they come back over to turn number 8. This is where you got to really get on that throttle. You start it there to get the run down the straightaway. Parker Thompson looks pretty close. Is he close enough to leverage the draft? Working their way down the back straightaway. Petrov trying to come with them. Parker Thompson. Good run out of turn number 8. Does he go to the inside coming out here? Not quite close enough. Right up on the gearbox coming into the flick into turn number 9 and 10. Thompson looks really good through 9 and 10, and Petrov not getting too over anxious. Saravalli runs in 7th. Jacob Abel in 8th. Nikita Lostovsk in 9th. And Corey Enders rounding out your top 10 here. Matt Rangarito, 11th. Moises De La Vera in 12th. And Antoine Camo in the 13th spot.
Lindh with a better entry through corner 1, and then the left-hander moves around. But those 3 cars are in a fight. 5 laps remaining. It's Kyle Kirkwood leading Stingray Robb, but it's Rasmus Lindh, Parker Thompson, and Artem Petrov in a 3-way battle for the 3rd spot.
3 different teams as well. Lindh running for Juncos Racing, Parker Thompson for Able Motorsports, and Artem Petrov for RP Motorsport USA. So 3 different teams. No love lost between any of these drivers. They're going to go at it here right now. Rasmus Lindh racing for his championship life, trying to hold off Parker Thompson. He cannot afford to lose any more points as Kyle Kirkwood out front here. A 9-point lead for Kirkwood coming in. And again, he just simply cannot let this happen. Thompson was very close last time by the down the back straightaway. Not quite close enough this time. And it's just, again, that the little bit of aero wash you get when you're tucked right up behind the driver trying to come through turn number 8. You lose the wing, the air off the front wing. The car will push out a little bit. Coming out of 12, though. See if Thompson close enough to make a move this time into 1.
4 laps to go. Thompson looking to make a move, but now also feeling pressure from Petrov from behind. So it's a combination, and there's Petrov trying to force the issue. Can't get it done. Will he cross over on the other side? No. But now that creates a little bit of a gap between Lindh and Parker Thompson to give him a little bit of breathing room.
And what it really does primarily, right, is it splits the concentration of Parker Thompson. He was fully committed to trying to get by Rasmus Lindh. His entire focus was on Rasmus's gearbox. What do I have to do to get by? Well, all of a sudden, when you start hearing the other engine behind, they're telling you he's right on top of you. At that point, Parker's got to think, hey, do I need to be defensive here as well? I can't lose a position. He has built a bit of gap coming out of turn number 4 and 5, so a little more cushion for Parker, but Artem looked very good coming down the front straightaway into 1. Laps winding down, as we said, for the Indy Pro 2000 category. Kyle Kirkwood and Stingray Robb nicely out front. Kirkwood looking to win yet another race. It's stellar what he's been able to do here this year. If you look at the Indy Pro category, amazing. Kyle Kirkwood, now based on, my notes, let me get the right notes here. The run he's been on has been absolutely unbelievable. Of course, he won both races at Road America, finished 8th in the first round at Toronto. Won the second round at Toronto, won both races at Mid-Ohio, won at Gateway, and has won here at Portland as well. That's 7 of the last 8 races he's been able to win, trying to go 8 for 9 to keep things going. A potential to win 10 races here in 2019, and I don't think anybody would have said that from the start of the season, especially after Parker Thompson had dominated the action at St. Petersburg.
And Rasmus Lind, who was stronger earlier in the season, and Kyle Kirkwood wasn't on the same kind of role that he is now, but now looking dominant with nearly a 7.5-second lead and just a couple of laps to go before claiming that next victory. But the fight for third still very much in question. Rasmus Lind trying to hold on to the spot ahead of Parker Thompson and Artem Petrov, and they are close again with 2 laps to go. They're coming around. There will be 2 laps to go as they cross the line this time.
Yeah, Artem Petrov, the man on the mission right now. He's more on the aggressive side as opposed to Parker Thompson. He's got to worry about Artem Petrov now. There's Stingray Robb coming through. Have a look at turn number 1. No pass this time. You watch those drivers. Sometimes they pound the curb, sometimes they stay a little bit off of that curbing on the inside, being a little more gentle coming through. And yeah, look at the bit of a gap here for Rasmus Lind. He's got about maybe 6 car lengths on Parker Thompson here as we're doing the final laps of Indy Pro 2000. Next race, I believe, scheduled to go green at about 4:15, so still over half an hour away. We'll get the driver intros ready to go just after 4 o'clock. This one running nicely here now as Kyle Kirkwood has simply dominated again. It's just been an unbelievable run here. The confidence this young man from Florida has in his car, in his team, in his own abilities, out to a 7.4-second lead. White flag will fly. 1 to go for Kirkwood to assume the championship lead. Clean through 1 and 2. Rolls back on the power. And I don't think we've seen a dominant driver in the road to Indy like this in the 10 years I've been doing it. Obviously dominating last year, and then once he found his footing here with RP Motorsports, he's been dominant as well here in Indy Pro 2000. This could be setting up a pretty impressive career in cars here for Kyle Kirkwood. As I said before, earlier in the day, or yesterday actually, he's got some championships already. He won the F4 championship. He won the F3 championship. He won USF 2000. He's trying to win an Indy Pro championship. He's not yet not won a championship in all his car racing.
And he's done them in dominating fashion too, with strings of victories in a row. And that's the part that's so startling about Kyle Kirkwood.
He'll work out at turn 11 and 12. And again, lots of opportunity here for him to kind of back it off a little bit if he wants. Of course, no. He'll still turn 108 flats. and most drivers will tell you that as well. There's really no need as the checkered flag flies. Kyle Kirkwood winning here in Portland. What an unbelievable run for him. And again, he did not let up. Kept putting down the great laps. They love when you turn those laps that you're comfortable with, you're going to be able to hit your marks and not make any mistakes. Stingray Robb, a very impressive run to second. Rasmus Lind coming home in the 3rd spot. Parker Thompson 4th. Artem Petrov 5th. I would have bet the way the last races were running there, the last 5 laps, we were going to see some kind of an overtake, Todd. We didn't. Lind, Thompson, and Petrov coming across the line 3, 4, 5. I would have thought that Petrov might have rolled the dice to try to go for a pass on Thompson.
It looked like it might be setting up that way, but then Artem Petrov got the attention of Parker Thompson, and Thompson had to refocus his attention in a bit more of a defensive mode as opposed to the attack mode on Rasmus Lind. Smart for Rasmus Lind though to give himself the time and make sure that he solidifies that 3rd place position. That would have been devastating if he was giving up spots in the championship.
That's exactly it, because he needs every point he possibly can. So a 3rd place finish for Rasmus Lind, keeping that streak of consistency alive. He just needs to win some races. Wasn't able to do it here. Kyle Kirkwood wins another event. 8 of the last 9 races for Kyle Kirkwood. Absolutely stellar, the run that this driver's on. He's got so much confidence. He's almost unbeatable, I believe, in his own mind. Kirkwood, Robb, and Lind will be the drivers that go to the podium. Parker Thompson 4th. Artem Petrov 5th. Daniel Frost ends up in the 6th spot. Antonio Saravalli able to grab 7th. Jacob Abel in 8th. Nikita Lastishkin in 9th. Corey Anderson 10th. Moises De Oliveira in 11th. And then it's Matt Round-Garrido in 12th and Anquan Camo rounding out the field. That's the number 90. Check this car. Well, you can't see it. We're getting it right now. An issue for Nikita Lastishkin. Right rear damage to the car of Lastishkin. He will come to a stop. There it is there, right behind one of our banners. Not sure what happened on the final circuit, but that is contact with the right rear. Damage to Lastishkin, but he still ends up coming across the line in 9th. So that would have been on the cool-down lap. contact between a couple of drivers.
That's unusual to see that happen. Not unprecedented, but unusual to see that happen, and just maybe not quite being aware of circumstances that the race had come to an end. Kyle Kirkwood, the winner. Stingray Robb, second, and Rasmus Lind, third. As you look at the unofficial results, Parker Thompson, Artem Petrov round out the top five. Daniel Frost, Antonio Saravalli with a run, and Jacob Abel, who moved up a little bit from the start, Nikita Lastushin. And there's the winner with a smile that we've seen so frequently before with Kyle Kirkwood, the double fist pump. Yeah, that's the celebration that we've become too familiar with.
He'll go meet his team as well. Of course, the guys from RP Motorsports Racing, they are having a tremendous season so far. A good run last year. Harrison Scott was their primary driver, did a great job. There's Larry Robb. That is Stingray's dad. Congratulating Kirkwood as well. Both of those families, Kirkwood and Robb, were top drivers in the karting ranks here in North America. Great job for Kyle Kirkwood, though, ladies and gentlemen. He is definitely on a roll. Of course, we've got our podium presentation still to come. We're still about a half an hour away from green flag from the USF 2000 Championship race, the final race of the weekend. Right around 4:05, I believe, we'll get set to go with driver introductions. Podium still to come, though, but Kyle Kirkwood, congratulations on a tremendous run here today.
There's the official results once again. The top 10, Kyle Kirkwood, Stingray Robb, and Rasmus Lind are the top three podium finishers that will